Hi, Cathie Hatrick-Anderson here. Welcome to my YouTube channel. What you're going to see here is me training horses off-farm, working with horses and their owners that I've never met before. So a lot of times I'm working with problem horses. They won't get on the trailer, they're aggressive, turn their butts to their owners, hard to catch, and a lot of times I have to come up here. And then I make it come down here and it's nice and pretty. The reason I have to start up here is because I don't want to get hurt, and many times horses have been lied to by their owners. They'll ask them to move and then don't insist. The horse might turn their rear end to them, and so I have to come off a little strong to begin with to keep myself safe. So I'm just pretty much speaking the horse's language, posturing. I might throw a kick at them, simulate a bite. Even if they're not aggressive, I just want them to know that I know how to communicate with them. Imagine if you went to a foreign country and you didn't understand the language. People are talking to you, you're trying to talk to them, and there's no communication. Pretty soon you'd get frustrated, angry, and you just stop trying to communicate because nobody's listening to you, nobody's understanding you. So imagine a good analogy that I like to give my clients is a bunny rabbit. If you've seen a bunny rabbit out in the field, and then all of a sudden that bunny rabbit took off and chased a predator, chased a coyote, you'd call somebody. You'd say, oh my God, that predator just ran after the coyote, and the coyote turned tail and ran away. So a lot of times you'll see horses moving people's feet, and that's not natural. In the horse-human relationship, a horse should never move a human's feet. We don't yield to them. So if you have an aggressive animal and you yield to them, that's telling him he's the boss. Even if your animal's not aggressive, he might be a sweetheart, but if you yield to his feet, then he can't trust you to keep him safe. Okay? So, habla español, ¿quieres algo para comer? ¿Quieres papas fritas, carnitas? ¿Quieres algo para tomar? Jugo de naranja, cerveza? It's too early for that. I don't speak Spanish, but I'm just trying to make a point. If I mutilated that language, I apologize. I learned a little bit in Southern California. But my point is, I wouldn't try to teach you in a foreign language. When I'm working with my clients, I'm speaking their language. I'm showing them, I'm demonstrating. A lot of times they still don't get it, and that's why I speak the horse's language at first. So some people get offended by that. The horses never do. When they throw a kick at another horse, hide's missing, hair's missing, and sometimes a lot worse. So I'm no match for them. They outweigh me at 1,000 pounds by at least 10 pounds. So that's why I do what I do to keep safe. I don't have days or weeks or months to bond with them. Sometimes people say, oh, you should take your time and bond with them. People are at their wits' end when they call me to travel out to their farm. So they need results. They need results right away, tangible results. And they need tools that they can put into practice and work with their animal, because many times it's, I can't keep them anymore, I'm going to get kicked out of my barn. Sometimes in extreme cases the horse is going to be put down if I don't fix it. So I'm not ashamed of what I'm doing. It's not, videos aren't edited like some other trainers will edit it and show the good parts, or this is what you do if your horse won't do this. I'm actually working with horses on the spot, and when you see them on my channel, you know, it's already happened. I sometimes don't know what's going to happen, okay? And so that's why I do what I do. I thank you for watching. If you came to my channel to pick up a tip or two, if you don't like it, there's plenty other channels that you can go visit. And if you're a viewer, a new one or old one, I appreciate your viewership, and come back often, and happy trails. This horse wasn't a problem. He was there for training, but he did not mind being dewormed. So if your horse isn't a problem, it's pretty easy, you know. I gave this horse some applesauce first, and then get him real stuff. So you see, spit some out. A lot of times you can dial it up a little more. Sometimes it ends up on your pants. And this next picture is not my leg, but it's a picture I got off the internet, one of my friends that shared it. It's a hoof print. That's what happens if a horse kicks you, and that's what it looked like a little later. So the horses that I work with can cause you some serious injuries, so you don't mess around. This horse did not want to be dewormed, and we're showing this easy wormer. It had just arrived at my farm. It was obviously underweight and it was full of worms, and we need to deworm it. And she was having none of it. She would strike out because she got a serious injury, and the vets had to back her into a corner, and she'd push you, strike, try to kick everything. So I have to be careful. You know, she's leaning into me. This horse never had a bit in her mouth, so I was curious to see how she would react to this easy wormer contraption. I really didn't have a lot of faith in it. It's over my shoulder, and I'm going to put it in her mouth and see how she does. First, I'm just putting my finger in her mouth. It helps, you know. There's no point in trying to get a dewormer in there if they won't even allow you to open their mouth or put your finger in there. I'm back. My husband was hollering for me. So this is the easy wormer. So we put that in her mouth. So you got to open her mouth, put it in there. You know, it was a little tricky just because she didn't like being held down, because she was expecting shots or getting her wound cleaned. But once we got that in there, it's just amazing how this thing works. And I've used it on a couple other horses. I have one more that I'll show you in the video. That it just is amazing how it works. So once that is in there and over their ears, they just, even if they see it coming, they just let you put that right in there. You put the dewormer tube in the little hole that comes out the side of her mouth and squirt it in there, and they allow it. So there it is. I don't know what I'm waiting for there. And so until you get them trained, like if you don't have time to train them, or if it's not your horse that you have to do this to, this little invention is really nice. She was crowding into me there, so I had to push her off me. So anyways, whoops, that must be the real stuff. Insert it in there. Wow. I'm just amazed that it works so good. And so then I'm going to take that off and then show you that how she fights without it, if that's not in her, if that's not on. And oh, actually this is another horse, and it's got that, and this horse, same thing, used to attack the vets, and so that thing's in there, pushed it in, and she just stood there and allowed that dewormer to go in there. So I'm going to take that off and just show you that once that comes off, she just got very argumentative again. It is nice that some of these little contraptions work. I usually am not in favor of a band-aid in place of real training, but in some instances, you know, to avoid getting injured, you know, you got to do what you got to do. And again, here they can strike you, knock you down. So that little contraption is a nice deal. And here's a picture when I was at a farm coming up next, when I was training another horse. Horse went around and just kicked them boards right out, you know, it doesn't take much and they can really injure you. Here is same horse in the first video with the dewormer, and then here's without, with that contraption that she wasn't going to stand for it. So this
hard
is
to worm.
The horse's owner. She said that it took her over an hour to deworm this horse, so I just said, show me. And this footage right here is a few days later, showing how easy it was to deworm her with applesauce, because I had already just dewormed her. But the footage you're going to see is actual time of the difficult time that we had. Now I'm using a dewormer here, but I'm not really giving her anything. I'm just putting her mouth empty. So here is the actual footage of when I took over for my friend when she was dragging her. If she comes into me, I'm going to push her out of my space. I don't want to yield to her feet, and I don't want to get bit or stomped on. So I'm not sure what she's going to pull out, because she had just come to my farm at this point, and her owner told me it took an hour. So I just want to rub her and then take my hand away when she's still. When she jerks on me or pushes me, I got to have a counter move. You know, by me making her go around the whole circle there, it's letting her know, don't move my feet. I'm the one that should move your feet, not the other way around. So I'm doing a rubbing motion, and I want to do advance and retreat when she's quiet. So I don't want to take my hand away when she's pushing me or shoving me. So I also want to get my hand in her mouth, because it's a lot harder to get the dewormer in there if I can't even get my finger in her mouth. What's the point? You know, so I want to be able to get my finger in her mouth, and take it away before I even bring the wormer to her. So I have my finger in her mouth. Now I want her to drop her head, so I'm holding steady pressure and releasing every increment, and then rewarding her. So she's not done fighting, because that was just my finger. I haven't even, she's just anticipating, because she knows what happens before the next thing happens. She knows, because her owner just tried to put the dewormer in. So these horses, they'll put their head way up, then they'll put their head way down. They come up with a whole bunch of counter moves to avoid getting the stuff in their mouth. And you can't blame them. Some of it tastes nasty. There's some good stuff out there, flavored stuff that they actually like. But if you have a horse that's difficult, or before you've ever dewormed a youngster, it's best to give them some applesauce, something in there that doesn't taste bad, so they don't have an aversion to it. And also, it's good not to trap a horse in the stall if he's aggressive, because you can get hurt, and he also feels trapped. And so if they don't like something, it's not a good idea to lock them in the stall so they can't get away, because you can get hurt. And also, you don't want to make them feel so trapped. So, rubbing, get that in there and plunge it in, and give her a reward. Anytime the horse steps to me, I want to back them up. If they step forward, back them up. If they back up, I'm just going to back up with them. So now I have to give her the real stuff after I give her the applesauce. And again, she's gone her lifetime being difficult to worm. I think she was maybe 9. So sometimes it's not a quick fix. Other horses, you can give them a little bump and they say cut it out, and they're like, oh, sorry. She's, being a little more difficult. So you have to be patient, but have to correct when they're being fresh. This particular mare, years later, she wasn't even being bad. I was feeding filling a hay bag, and she come up behind and just moved her head over my head, and she wasn't even trying to be mean, and she hit me, and I had a headache all day, you know. So when I feed them, I'll make them back up and wait, you know, because like I said, even when they're behaving themselves, they can hurt you without even trying. And she wasn't behaving herself. Again, we don't blame her, you know. There's a right way and a wrong way to approach all this stuff. So, other thing, while I'm at it on this is just dewormer. I know people have tried to give their horse the Morcidan. They have it in a gel, and it's given sublingual under their tongue, and they haven't put gloves on. You need to put gloves on, and glasses, and even, how about, long sleeves. They spit this dewormer stuff out, and it lands on you. If that's the Morcidan, you're in big trouble. So dewormer, not so much, but just be aware of that if you ever have to give your horse that to sedate him for the dentist or whatever else, you know, she's cleaning. You know, she's a little off there. She had an abscess, but she's not hurt enough to stop her from trying to push me. So anyways, this is, like I said, real as it happens. You know, a lot of trainers are going to show you with the horse that maybe it's just a little obnoxious, but you know, this is what I get when I go out and I turn the camera on. I don't know what I'm going to get, so I just do what I do to protect myself and train the horse, and I do the best I can with the information I have or don't have about the horse. And so I don't ever use a rope halter on my horses. I don't need one to deworm my horses. I've never had to fight with them about it. You know, I go in without a halter, and I put the stuff in their mouth. I might put my hand on their nose and just put it in there, you know. But I've had years to develop a relationship with them, even the young one, you know. It might not be years, but I don't hold them tight and force stuff on them and to make them want to fight. So I'm just doing that till she stops her feet, and then I'll stop doing that motion, because I want her to learn that she can't run away or outrun me. And when she stops backing up, I quit and take it away. So you want to be able to advance and retreat, but if you're not able to retreat, then I just like to stay with them and then stop when they stop. And it just teaches them that they can't keep running away, that I'm going to be right there. So sometimes I have to take a tighter hold on that halter when I'm actually going to give it, just because there's too much play in that halter, unless I grab that too much play in her head that she could really whack me. And so sometimes you got to grab that halter up tight. She pinned her ears just then, and then she licked, because she's like threatening me with the ears, and then says, okay, I'm sorry. With the licking and chewing is, you know, I'm sorry, but they can go ugly 2 seconds after they've said I'm sorry, or don't hurt me, I'm going to be good. So this next video you're going to see is years later with the same horse, and the guy is a total new horse owner, and he actually has a horse that's hard to deworm, and he's kind of, you know, he gets it done under my tutelage, but kind of not forceful enough, you know. And with a horse like that, if you are not forceful enough when you need to be, you know, they'll start walking all over you, and they'll get more aggressive, you know. So it's a fine line on knowing what to do with every horse, knowing when to correct or how much to correct. Because some horses certainly don't need that, but like I said, I know this horse's history, and she's a big girl, so, you know, I'm not going to be blowing her kisses when she's trying to push me with her head, or, you know, I don't know if she's going to strike. A lot of horses will do that in this type of situation, you know, they're just trying to protect themselves or get you to stop doing what you're doing. So, anyways, she was never that bad again, and she's not bad at all to worm today. And so you'll see, I said this other gentleman, years later, same horse. She's not fighting about that. If you can just open her mouth, just put your finger in the side and just, you know, in her lip. This is a mare that was a real problem to get wormed.
You're looking for her, huh? Yeah.
Good. And then just take the wormer and see if you can put it back as far as you can go. It's not wormer, it's applesauce, but... So give her a little bump of the halter, and then just rub the wormer on the side of her face. Good, and take it away before she leaves. But if she uses her head as a weapon, bump her. So now instead of her throwing her head up, what's she doing? She's putting it down. So bump her up a little bit. There, yeah, stand. She's doing her nervous leg thing. See her leg? She lifts up. So see if you can just rub her muzzle with that wormer and keep her head down. Yeah, there you go. So just rub her by the muzzle until she's quiet. Yeah, and when she's quiet, take it away. Yeah. And by the side of her face. Rub her by the side of her. Yeah. There you go. Good. That's new. And then see if you can give it to her. And you might have to hold her tighter. You might have to choke up on that snap. Bump her. Yep. You got to bump her with your right hand, the one that has a halter, and say, don't use your head as a weapon. Back her up a little.
Good girl.
Back her up a little. Use that halter. Pressure on the halter. Yep. There you go. Don't let her take... That's a good girl. That was a good size. She may let you do it now. But you got to choke up a little. Yep. Let's see if you can do it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you didn't do nothing. She's just sensitive. Watch your feet, because her feet's very close to yours. You might, you know, you need to choke up tighter on her halter, because just so she can't use the head as a weapon. There you go. That's good.
That's all right. Good girl.
Good.
Oh, all right.
When she bumps you, bump her back with that halter. Give her little corrections.
That's all right. That's all. That's all.
That's a good girl. There you go. There. Awesome. Good job.
Yes, good girl.
Good. It took a little convincing, but not bad.
Don't you?